Hi, my name is Rodrigo. I am a trainer and instructional designer based in Paris, France, and in this short video I'm going to share with you 5 elements that I believe are necessary if you want to create irresistible learning experiences for your participants. So if you're a trainer, a teacher, or an instructional designer and you want to create truly engaging, truly irresistible learning experiences for your participants, then this video is for you. Recommendation number 1 is make it fun. Why is it important that your training, that your learning experience is fun? That's because in the year we're living in 2018, people in general have developed a very low tolerance for boredom. Modernity and technology have given us many alternatives to have a good time. We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have funny cat videos on YouTube. The consequence in the training room, in the classroom, is that some activities that used to be painful yet tolerable have now become absolutely unacceptable, such as attending a boring lecture. So the opportunity cost of attending a boring lecture is too high. It's becoming more and more difficult for people to pay attention during a whole boring lecture, so that's why you have to make it fun. Now, how can you make it fun? Well, first of all, you have to make sure that your participants stay active during your training. Also, you can, if you're an instructional designer, you can get a fun and interesting person to deliver the training. And in general, my favorite recommendation, whether you are an instructional designer or a trainer, is to include a lot of activities that are social. A lot of activities that involve the participants collaborating, giving feedback to each other, competing against each other. And that's because as humans, we are hardwired to enjoy working in teams. We just enjoy that because we evolved that way. So if you include a lot of collaboration, competition, peer assessment in your training, the chances are pretty good that it's going to be fun for your participants. And that's recommendation number 1, make it fun. Recommendation number 2 is make sure that your training is useful and make sure to communicate the usefulness of your training to your participants. There's a quote by the philosopher Nicholas Taleb that says that nothing can be both boring and truly important. Let me repeat that. Nothing can be both boring and truly important for a person. Well, that means that in our brains, in our very sophisticated brains, we have like a detector. And this detector has helped us evolve and survive in the world where we're living by helping us focus on those things that are useful and by helping us ignore those things that are useless. So if the participants of your training do not see the usefulness, it's going to be almost impossible for them to focus. Their detector is just going to ring. Now, what are some of the things that you can do to prevent the uselessness detector from ringing, if you may? Well, first of all, you have to make sure that your training is in line with the participants' needs, with the participants' wants. That's the first thing. You have to make sure that the training is useful for them. Then you also have to communicate the usefulness of your training to your participants. You have to let them know why the training is useful and in which situations, in which concrete situations they will be able to put it into practice. So that was recommendation number 2, make it useful and communicate it to your participants. Recommendation number 3 is have your participants create something tangible during the training. Some ideas for this is having the participants create a summary of the training that they will take with them, like a paper summary or a summary in the form of a blog post or a summary in the form of a mind map. Something that they create, something they do and they can take with them after the training and that they created themselves. Also, even better, something is having your participants create something they can share with other people, like a diploma, a badge, or anything that they can share over the internet. If you have your participants create something that they can take with them after the training or something that they can share with other people after the training, that's going to increase their engagement and make your learning activities more irresistible. Recommendation number 4 is use the techniques of the flipped classroom. Now, what is the flipped classroom? The flipped classroom is a learning philosophy that states that everything that is like top-down transmission of knowledge and lecturing should be done outside the training room, outside the classroom, and the classroom should be used for high added value activities such as giving feedback or inspiring your students or allowing them to collaborate, allowing them to compete against each other. So everything that is just top-down lecturing shouldn't be done in the training room. Now, if you use this basic concept of the flipped classroom, already it's going to be a lot more engaging for the participants of your training, for your students, and even better, if you want to take it a step up, you can also have your participants participate in the content creation, in the content delivery, and in the assessment of other students. For example, if you have your students assessing each other's performance, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to resist your learning experience. Finally, recommendation number 5 is induce a state of flow in your participants using gamification. So first of all, what is the state of flow? Have you ever watched Roger Federer playing tennis or Michael Jordan playing basketball? Trust me, when they are out there on the court, they are not thinking about their taxes, they are not thinking about their girlfriends. They are fully focused, they are fully engaged on what they're doing. So that's what we call the state of flow. Like, we also call it being in the zone. And it's a state in which the world disappears, our egos disappear, and we are fully immersed, fully focused in what we are doing. This is a powerful state because it's a powerful state for learning, it's a powerful state for high performance. Now, how can you induce such a state in your participants? How can you make them forget about everything else in the world and be fully focused in what you're doing? Well, one tool that you can use for this is gamification. Now, gamification is the use of game elements and some of the techniques coming from game design into a non-game context, such as training. Some examples of gamifications are the use of points, the use of badges, the use of leaderboards, and some other elements that come, and many other elements that come from game design. Now, if you learn some gamification and you use it in the classroom, it's going to be easier for your participants to get into that state of complete engagement, of full concentration in what you're telling them and in the activities that they are doing. And that's the last recommendation: use gamification to induce a state of flow in your participants. So just as a quick recap, recommendation number 1 was make your training, make your learning experience fun. It is very, very difficult for people in 2018 to pay attention to boring things. Recommendation number 2 is make sure that your training is useful and make sure to communicate the usefulness of your training to your participants. Recommendation number 3 is have your participants create something tangible, something that they can take with them after the training, and even better, let them have something that they can share with other people after the training. Recommendation number 4 is use the techniques of the flipped classroom. So let boring lecturing to be done online or through video or some other media, and take advantage of the co-located time in the classroom for collaboration, competition, and inspiration. And finally, recommendation number 5 is use gamification to induce a state of flow in your participants. Well, thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a line, and see you soon. Goodbye.